Well, you must have some great answers because it was. So I've realised now that I have no Spanish, and your answers will be in Spanish. So if some people have an answer for the group, and really you should be talking to each other, that they want to share with me in English, that's fine. But if you want to share your answers just in Spanish, that's fine too, and I'll pick up what I can.
Si alguien del grupo habla en inglés, puede ser por favor del grupo, y si no, como mi traducción al inglés es peor, Nuria nos va a hacer una mano. O sea, si podéis hacer el planteamiento en español, Nuria lo va a traducir al inglés.
Okay. Who had an idea? Who had a system? Yeah.
Muy bien, muy bien. I was speaking English because my Spanish is not that good. So I have no idea about this process of accreditation before. It's the first time that I hear about it. I'm from Tunisia and I did evaluation in Tunisia. And the first idea, I have a background of I'm a biologist. And then I completely changed the work to do evaluation development area. So in biology, for example, when researchers make a study, they send this research to another biologist that is doing this more or less the same thing.
Yep.
And the other one give his opinion about his work. And finally, if for example, two others biologists say that it's a good, they comment it and they say it's valid, then, for example, this researcher can publish his work. So I think it's a good idea that, for example, evaluators who would like to do this process, they register it somewhere, and when they do an evaluation, they give their work to others, evaluators that specialize in the same area, and then if they say it's valid, or I don't know, they give their comments and they say it's professional, it's objective, for example, it's respect standards of evaluation. So this is the idea mainly, giving the work after the evaluation, giving the study to others evaluators, and of course it remains confidential because sometimes the client doesn't want to publish.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you. Peer review, great idea. Two problems with that. The first is who benefits? Who benefits from the peer review?
The three evaluators.
Yeah, only three people. Only three people benefit from that process. Yeah. What about doing it at the beginning rather than the end of the evaluation?
Like at the stage of the inception report, like when you detail the methodology.
Before you even start collecting the data. Do you see what I mean? I mean, peer review is a great idea, but not very many people benefit from that if it's at the end of the evaluation. Yeah.
But at the same time, you have the clients who doesn't want to let the work or the study or the evaluation work be shared with many. Absolutely,
I agree. I'm not disagreeing. I think your idea is a great idea. But who are you accountable to in that situation? Only your professional peers. Yeah. Would you care to translate that for the people?
Le pregunta, bueno, ¿habéis entendido la propuesta de? Ok. Bueno, entonces le pregunta, en el fondo, ¿ante quién es accountable el evaluador? Dice, solamente ante sus colegas. Y entonces le propone, dice que es una gran idea, pero dice, y igual eso lo hacemos al final, si lo hacemos antes, en el diseño, antes de la recogida de datos, no resuelve el enigma, ¿no? La pregunta.
But that's good. You still need to be accountable to your profession, so it's still a good idea. It just doesn't do everything, but what does?
Que está muy bien, y ser contable entre tus pares, entre tus colegas, pero que no resuelve toda la cuestión.
Other people's other systems in it.
Well, we thought that maybe, first of all, we have to know what knowledge has to have an evaluator. I mean, this is the first problem also, okay? Who decides that?
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, it's just another, I mean, let's say medicine or something like that, okay? Everybody agreed on what are the studies the doctor has to have. And after that, you have the college of doctors where they can control the quality of the work.
Yeah.
Now, because peer review, I think is a good idea, but there's another problem. That if there are a lot of evaluations, maybe there are not enough evaluators to do this work. And maybe with that, I mean, it's more systematic, less individual work, maybe less quality, but maybe broadly.
Yeah. So, are you suggesting a basic training for all evaluators?
Yeah.
Is that what you're suggesting? A basic training, so people would have to demonstrate core capability in a number of core areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell me what's wrong with your suggestion.
That first of all, you have to decide what is this core idea that must develop an evaluation.
Yeah.
But anyway, I suppose it's the same in all other careers. I mean, at the beginning, I'm not sure that all doctors would agree on what doctor means or what lawyer means, or you know, I mean, maybe it's just a common view of all evaluators and has just a general idea of what do they have to know.
Carlos,
Sí,
o sea, rápidamente para...
Lo que he dicho es que, digamos, bueno, que el peer review, aparte que tenía los problemas, yo le comentaba que si hay muchas evaluaciones, a lo mejor no hay suficientes evaluadores para hacer el trabajo también, que puede ser, ¿no? En el caso de que optimísticamente, ¿no? Pero otra de las cosas, pues comentaba yo, pues que como en otras profesiones, lo normal sería primero entender cuáles son los conocimientos básicos que tiene que tener un evaluador y normatizarlos de alguna manera, y después tener como un colegio profesional que permita controlar la calidad de esos evaluadores, ¿no? No tanto en el momento, sino bueno, como lo hacen todos los colegios profesionales en este momento con otras profesiones, ¿no? Entonces me preguntaba cuál era el primer problema. El primer problema sobre todo es decidir qué temas son los que tiene que conocer un evaluador, ¿no? Y bueno, pues en ese caso.
And the other issue, of course, for me anyway, don't worry, just keep it on.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about evaluation is that people doing evaluation come from so many different places. That makes evaluation richer and better. If you start to narrow it all down and say, you must have an undergraduate degree in evaluation, do you know what I mean? So I think it's got peer review, we've got core competencies, absolutely agree, both of those should be in there, but they're not enough by themselves. Yeah, other ideas?
We did this list of 6 possible different mechanisms that
Hey!
6.
Awesome.
The point here with this list is that we are aware that all of them are out there, all of them are going on. And our question was whether one of these or several of these should be, let's say, compulsory, not just an informal thing that happens by itself, but something that you need to have, must happen, otherwise you are not allowed to be an evaluator. That was actually more our debate, whether there should be something that is compulsory, such as having a degree in medicine is something you have to have if you want to be a doctor, otherwise it's illegal. So that was kind of what we were saying. So one thing, one of them, first of all, to have an exam. You have an exam. If you pass it, you can be an evaluator. Otherwise, you can't. still can come from different backgrounds, have different ways to acquire this knowledge, but only if you pass the exam you can evaluate. That's one.
The Japanese do that.
Yes?
Japanese do that.
What kind of example?
An exam from the Japanese Evaluation Society.
Right.
Yeah, so you need
Well,
to
which
prove,
necessarily is
you need to prove you know the methods, you know the techniques, and so on.
So that would match with Carlos's idea of core competencies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then another one is the ontology codes, method to have an ethic code, but we don't really know how you can say this is actually compulsory, you have to follow the code, because the ontology codes are not legal codes, but that would be another one. Another one is training, a little bit what Carlo was saying, to have some kind of specific training, degrees or masters, whatever, that you need to have if you want to be an evaluator. Then another one is to be able to prove experience in the field, and the way to acquire the experience is to do practice with someone who has already this experience. Again, it has pros and cons. It's not easy also to make it, let's say, official. Another one is the peer review mechanism we were talking about before. And then the establishment also of a complaint form mechanism from beneficiaries of the evaluation, who could be beneficiaries of the intervention, clients, whatever. We are aware this is very difficult to establish this, but that's what we put on
It's long, stand up, finish.
I think that's fantastic.
Dilo en español.
Vale. Bueno, lo que estaba diciéndole es que nosotros, más que concentrarnos en un método, lo que hemos hecho es hacer una lista de posibles métodos que podría haber para controlar esto. Hemos entrado en la discusión de cómo hacer obligatorio u oficial algunos de estos. Hemos hecho una lista de 6, de los cuales entendemos que ya existen, ya son cosas que están existiendo, y nuestra pregunta era si incluso sería posible, primero, conveniente, hacerlo obligatorio. Y la lista de estos 6 son, primero, hacer un examen, pasar un examen donde demuestras que conoces los métodos de la evaluación. Si no lo pasas, no puedes evaluar. Luego los métodos deontológicos, los códigos éticos, que ya existen, pero no son mecanismos legales, sino simplemente códigos éticos. Sí podrían o no serlo. Sí deberían serlo, en realidad. Luego, lo que estaba diciendo Carlos, tener una formación específica, la carrera de evaluador, máster de evaluador, claro. Luego tener experiencia, y la manera de adquirirla sería hacer prácticas con alguien que la tiene, con lo cual si demuestras que tienes un determinado bagaje de experiencia, entonces puedes ser evaluador. Otro, el mecanismo de revisión de pares de que hemos hablado antes, hemos descrito antes. Y por último, el establecimiento de un mecanismo de quejas por parte de los beneficiarios, que son los que con su input regulan cómo estás haciendo tu trabajo. Entonces, nosotros lo que hemos hecho es eso, poner sobre la mesa toda esta serie de ideas, y la idea es que si va a haber un mecanismo, tendría que ser obligatorio, igual que para ser médico, si no tienes la carrera no puedes ser médico. Lo planteamos si con uno de estos, o todos, o ninguno, es posible y cómo.
Great. Fabulous, thank you. Did anybody else have some other ideas? Yeah.
We spoke a little bit, we focused on the idea of creating an evaluation professional board, something similar to what we have already for other disciplines like medicine or architecture or so on. But we were also discussing about the advantages and disadvantages, because we didn't see it so clear that it was a good idea. So we're thinking about creating this board in order to establish professional standards which could be aimed at guaranteeing quality when developing evaluations, and also to organize or to have the reference of credited professionals around this board. The thing is that we were discussing about some bad practice that we have seen in other disciplines, particularly in countries that we know, but some of them could be around the idea of becoming a profit-making organization, and not so much adding value in terms of quality, but more about getting revenue for the existence per se of the professional board. And this is something that we should avoid. But we also think that we could have some advantages with this. Basically, we would try to guarantee some minimal professional standards that all evaluations should have in order to be professional and to be considered professional. And also to guarantee, in terms of the professional activity of evaluators, that all practitioners gather a number of skills, a number of capabilities that we could take for granted that if they are going to carry out an evaluation, they should be in. So that is something that we would aim to. But also we have like a risk or a disadvantage in this, and it's that we could get to this final result, final outcome, that we could get standardized evaluations with no innovative approaches, with no added value coming from different disciplines, and this is something that we should try to guarantee. We should try to remain in the evaluation practice. So basically, we didn't advance much further.
No. But you went through the ideas and the pros and cons, which is really, really important. You know, that's what that approach is what's being used, particularly in medicine. So they have colleges as well as associations, and it gets very confusing about who does what, and they pay enormous fees for the entitlement to, you know, to be a doctor or whatever, and then you start to have to pay insurance as well, and then you have to, you know, so it becomes very expensive, and it requires a strong, robust organisation with highly paid people to run it, and it gets very, so good idea in principle, but problems. Do you want, for the people who don't speak such good English, would you like to summarise?
Sí. Estábamos hablando de la idea de crear como un órgano, un colegio profesional, colegio, se llama como sea, de evaluadores, un poco con la idea de poder estandarizar la práctica profesional de la evaluación. Bueno, todo tiene como su parte positiva y su parte negativa. Entonces, en cuanto a las partes negativas o las desventajas, es que se podrían crear mecanismos de generación de ingresos para el propio órgano sin crear mucho valor añadido, ¿no? Entonces, eso sería un riesgo que nos gustaría evitar. Pero también tendría una serie de ventajas, y es tratar de garantizar unos estándares mínimos de calidad en las evaluaciones que se desarrollasen, y también garantizar que los evaluadores, los profesionales del campo de la evaluación, vengan de la disciplina que vengan, reúnen una serie de habilidades y de competencias mínimas en evaluación, y que entonces siempre que haya un profesional de esta entidad, se podría garantizar que va a reunir esta serie de estándares mínimos profesionales. También el riesgo que esto tiene es que podríamos ir, Mar ponía el ejemplo también del CAR, ¿no? Que cuando genera sistemas ya muy estereotipados, ya muy definidos, que al final todos hagamos, lleguemos a una homogeneización de la práctica de evaluación y todos apliquemos lo mismo, ¿no? Y así, pues a veces igual dejas de lado unos enfoques que pueden ser innovadores, que pueden tener un valor añadido muy grande, pero que igual esa inercia no te lleva a generar aprovechar esa creatividad.
Y Pam comentaba respecto de estos sistemas que, bueno, que finalmente se convierten en maquinarias de lucro y bueno, que tienen unas fees muy elevadas, o sea, unas tasas muy elevadas, te tienes que asegurar. Entonces, no sé qué más ideas apuntaba, si podéis completar. No recuerdo ahora.
No, es que hay sistemas que hay países en los que hay mezcla de colegios profesionales y
de colegios con medicina, asociación de pediatría, el colegio profesional de médicos, y que tienes que estar gastando en uno y en otro.
Que requieren, pues eso, estructuras muy sólidas para manejar todo eso. But I think this is a key use to it. You know, for instance, the claim system. Claim to whom?
Complaint systems, yeah, that's exactly the case. I mean, you know, I would love to see a complaint system available. You know, doctors have it, lawyers have it, nurses have it, accountants, you know, why don't evaluators have it? And I think I might have shocked Maria at lunch today when I said that I think it's fundamental hypocrisy that we get to do the evaluating, but nobody gets to evaluate us. Do you want to translate that?
Sí, la idea esta que os comentaba antes también, que metió una cuña, la idea de la cierta hipocresía que supone que nosotros somos evaluadores, pero no nos evaluamos ante nadie, ¿no? Es la idea de este
Maria.
I would like to problematize something. Okay, so I would like to introduce the idea of the context and the importance of the context. I'm going to do it in Spanish and
Thank
then
you.
in
Perfect. Much better.
Una de las cuestiones que me gustaría añadir digamos, a la discusión es la idea de la importancia del contexto en la evaluación. Entonces, desde la idea de que los sistemas y las culturas políticas son completamente distintas en diferentes países, o sea, por ejemplo, en temas de acreditación, aquí en España y en los países latinos, realmente la forma de estar acreditado es pagando un esto en los colegios profesionales y lo único que hay que hacer es tener un título, ¿vale? Es muy diferente, por ejemplo, a Estados Unidos, que es habla de estados, y por ejemplo, para ejercer como médico en determinados estados, no solo te tienes que examinar y pasar un examen, sino que además lo tienes que hacer cada 7 años. Es decir, que es una cuestión y te tienes que ir acreditando y hay mucho más control. Entre las cosas anglosajonas es más. Por ejemplo, introduciría también la idea de que en algunos países nórdicos, por ejemplo en Suecia, la evaluación está tan integrada en el trabajo que todo el mundo evalúa. Es decir, la gente no se siente evaluador es como si dijeras, vale, es que tenemos que aprender sobre planificación, porque tenemos que planificar. O sea, ahí como todo el mundo evalúa, la gente no se siente especialmente evaluadora. Y no quiere decir que no se estén haciendo buenas evaluaciones. Lo digo porque esto ha sido tensiones que hemos tenido en la Sociedad Europea de Evaluación. Pero además, ese contexto también aplicado a la idea de que yo puedo hacer, como comentaba Pam antes, o sea, hacer un peer review y decir, aseguro que los evaluadores tienen un mínimo, de manera que nos podemos suponer que si el evaluador ha sido examinado y acreditado porque es bueno y sabe de esto, tiene conocimientos, tiene procedimientos, tiene tal, con esto va a hacer buenas evaluaciones. Pero es que luego las evaluaciones pueden ser muy distintas según los contextos y a lo mejor hay que ser accountable, o sea, a lo mejor hay que ser responsable de cada evaluación. No, un evaluador puede comportarse de maneras diferentes dependiendo de la evaluación. Okay? Let me just because what I wanted to do is to introduce the idea of the context and first the idea of the very different political cultures and political systems that we have. And for example, I was saying that here in the Latin countries and for example in Spain, we are not used to accreditation in any kind of profession. I mean, of course, we have the colleges and all those things, but the only thing that you need to do is to pay to pay regularly, and then to be eligible for that is just that you have been trained once. I mean, it's completely different from the more Anglo-Saxon kind of cultures that they are more accountable and they ask for more accountability on that. But here it's really, I mean, it could sound a little bit strange, the idea of the accreditation. And I was putting also the example, for example, some Nordic countries, like for example, Sweden, that it's not that they do not do evaluation, they do a lot of evaluation, but the evaluators they do not feel evaluators themselves because it's something very integrated. It's like if you will say, I am a planner, okay? I am an evaluator. So this, and I'm putting this into the debate because those have been discussions that we have had in the European Evaluation Society. And then there's the context also apply to the very process of the evaluation, that you can, in advance, ex ante, you can, at the beginning, as you were saying, you can assure that the evaluators, they have the skills, they have the capabilities, so then you can suppose that they are going to do a good evaluation. But then each evaluation process has their own context, and one evaluator can play in different roles and can behave in different ways in each evaluation. So in order to answer this idea of how do you evaluate the evaluators, it's not putting, or just putting some on the evaluator, but also putting some into the context and into the evaluation process. So I want to
Thank you. So I'm going to talk for about 4 or 5 minutes, and I'll talk slowly and clearly, and then we can do a translation at the end, because I'm aware that we probably only have 5 or 10 minutes. First point, I'm not promoting accreditation. I don't think accreditation is possible for evaluation, and I don't think it's useful. So I'm not promoting accreditation.
Punto primero, que no está promoviendo está como cerrando porque tenemos 10 minutos.
I think it's good. Yeah.
Sí. Point by point.
Yeah,
Okay.
point by point is good.
Okay. Bueno, que no promueve la acreditación, que no crea que sea posible y tampoco cree que sea útil.
There's a whole lot of reasons, and you're smart people, and I'm sure you can imagine what they are. I don't have to explain them. So picking up on some things, peer review, great idea, not frightening, nobody gets afraid, it's between peers, excellent idea. I think a big question that you have to ask is, who do you want to be accountable to? So this concept of accountability, it's like, who? Well, that's a big question too. I'm just going to tell you who I'm accountable to. First of all, I'm accountable to my own conscience. My own conscience. That's what I'm first and foremost accountable to. Secondly, I'm accountable to the people who are receiving the services that I'm evaluating, because they've got the biggest need. Thirdly, I'm accountable to my profession, because we have to do evaluation ethically for it to have any credibility and make any difference. And fourthly, I'm accountable to the person who pays my fee. Do you know, and often that's because, well, first of all, my conscience is more important to me than any of those other things. But the community comes very close. They're like this, you know, they're almost the same thing. Accountability to profession, there's no point in, you know, I have to be accountable to my profession, because otherwise, you know, we're not doing the good work. But yes, I'm accountable to the fee payer, but my accountability to my conscience also tells me that I have to educate this person, these people. That's my accountability as well. If there's a conflict of conscience between what I think I should be doing at some point and what they think I should be doing at some point, then we have to have a negotiation. If the fee payer were the first accountability, then I would just be, you know, doing whatever. So I think the first thing is you have to decide as individuals who you want to be accountable to, and maybe that will change from time to time as well. That can change. So, you know, in designing the VEPR, I looked at accountability systems across a whole lot of professions, and I felt that it was, rather than, I'm sorry, I don't remember I don't think I heard your name. You two, Eduardo and Elena. So Eduardo and Elena suggested something mandatory, something everybody has to sit an exam, they have to pass it, you have to. Personally, I find those kind of systems really difficult, because then there's all of the stuff that Cara was talking about who decides and how much it's going to cost and da, da, da. So the system that we came up with is voluntary, but the intention is that it will become aspirational. What's aspirational in Spanish? So people will want to do it. How do you make that happen? First of all, you make it interesting. Second, you make it fun. Third, you make it cheap. Fourth, you make it something that is really easy and engaging, and you learn from it, and you go away feeling that you have gained something. So the concept, I think you've all got a copy of the paper there that you can take away and read. If you're interested, you can get in touch with AIDA. We're piloting it. If you want to be part of the
pilot, you'd be really welcome to be part of the pilot as well. So we could, I mean, some of you have obviously done evaluation, but the concept is very simple. It says the person identifies 2 practice areas where they think they are not very strong. So from the start, you're telling people it's for you to take responsibility to know what you're not good at yet. It's an invitation. It's not, it's an invitation to go, wow, I could really learn something here. Yeah. And so what that's doing is teaching this as an ongoing practice. You don't just do it once to go on the EES index as somebody who has been willing to have their practice peer reviewed. That happens too. But you learn this practice of, I need to think about this all the time. I need to talk about this with my colleagues. I don't need to be afraid of what I'm not good at. I just need to make it better. So it's a simple concept. Probably eventually there will be, if it's implemented, there will be a small fee. It's the kind of thing that people would do. So the idea is that one person identifies the things they're not so great at. They write up a description of why that's the case. They talk about what they've done, what they haven't done so far. They put this in a portfolio, not so long, 1.5 hours. 2 reviewers are selected from a pool of accredited reviewers. Never mind how that happens, but if you want to read the whole concept paper, I'm happy to send it to you. So there would be criteria for that as well. And then the 3 people get together and they have a meeting, which is a discussion of equals. And it's not about the 2 reviewers saying, oh, here's a good idea, do that. It's the reviewers going, that's interesting. What do you think about this idea? Or have you thought about that idea? Or in that situation, why did you choose to do that thing and maybe not this other thing? So it's a learning context. And at the end of it, a report is written where all parties talk about what the applicant has learned through that meeting and through the process. And that's it. It's a really simple idea, but you should come out the end of it with a new learning about self-reflection, with a new sense of accountability to your profession, with a new sense of accountability to yourself, having some things that you're not so good at, having identified that you are happy to identify what you're not so good at, and then a listing on the Evaluation Society Index that says, in essence, this person is willing to examine their own shortcomings. So there you go. That's the VEPR concept. Thank you for being here and for all your wonderful ideas. And Aida and I will take those ideas away from here today as well. Thank you, and see whether there are some ways that we can improve our concept as well. So, and good luck with the rest of your course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bueno, no voy a traducir todo esto, pero por hacer un puente con lo que estamos haciendo en AfterEval,